the Abscondo Podcast. Hello, welcome to the Abscondo Podcast. As some of you may know, I write a spiritual teaching or blog post every day, and I've been doing this for about a year. And I want to read to you the 354th post from this past year. Relationships do not complete what is already whole. To be spiritually unawake is to believe that what we are lacking inside can be fulfilled externally. With so much attention on so-called rational thought, we have forgotten that we are all born with perfect love within. All these cruel, insane lessons of sacrifice have tricked us into believing that we are incomplete, that love is not what we are, rather, that we must get it from another person. So we desperately look for someone to play the part, someone who has also forgotten about the love within and also needs you to play the part. Where is the source of love in this unholy relationship? You both expect it from the other, so both feel pressured to play a role. There are the rules, gestures, expectations, and decisions, all designed to provide that feeling of love. But somehow, the loving bliss you both expected from the relationship isn't quite there. Now you blame each other, you attack, you resent, you argue, all because you both have a deep need for love, but went about it the wrong way. With each new attack and manipulation, the relationship is damaged, and love becomes more elusive. This is not love, rather a codependent arrangement that will never bring lasting happiness. Love requires that we undo ego to remember the perfect love within. This is done alone, in silence and stillness. There are beautiful books that can help by authors like Don Miguel Ruiz, Thich Nhat Hanh, Osho, Michael Singer, Eric Fromm, and even yours truly. Only when you come to love yourself so much that you don't need another person are you ready for a romantic relationship. If you do meet another enlightened soul who has done the same, then your relationship will be overflowing with love. There's no way around this, so we continue tomorrow and each day after that. So what we're talking about here is the difference between what the world calls love and what love truly is. People talk so much about love, especially when we're single or when we're looking for that relationship or newly in a relationship. And there's an underlying assumption, and of course, we're here to partner with someone. Of course, we become more complete in a sense in terms of fulfilling our role in life, having children, establishing a life, a career, all those external things. And it's wonderful to have someone to go through life with. But what you're not going to find in a relationship is the source of love from the other person. So if you're going about a relationship, or if you're looking for a relationship because you're unhappy, because you want love and you don't have it, and you're looking to get it from someone else, you're not going to find it, because what you're going to find is somebody else is doing the same thing. And if you're in that place, you're probably not really able to offer the love that person's lacking, and neither is he or she for you. There are so many things that we can offer each other in what Course in Miracles calls the holy relationship. So there's a difference between the unholy relationship, which is this idea of codependency that most people believe is love, believe is marriage. And then there's the holy relationship, which is two people who are already complete, who already have found the source of love, remember the source of love within that we were all born with as young children, that we had perfect love. We didn't look for someone else to complete us with that love. We already felt that inside. We knew that we had that inside. But the world teaches us that we have to deserve it and earn it. We have to, we're already happy, then we go to first grade, and we're taught that to be happy, we have to do this, do that, and this goes on and on for our whole lives. First grade, second grade, third grade, all the way through college, all the way through our careers and our relationships and marriage. We're always taught that love is conditional, that you have to do something to get it, to be accepted, to be liked, to be adored, to be respected, to be successful, to get what we want internally, which is this feeling of peace, happiness, joy, enjoyment of life, fulfillment. The idea, we want to be heard and respected. We want love. It can all be summarized as love. And, it's become kind of a cliche to say that you have to learn how to love yourself. And I've heard that many times ever since I was really young, and I just thought of it as kind of a thing that girls say. Until I came to a point in my life where I realized that I was doing a lot of things incorrectly, looking for love from women. And I was already married, so that wasn't a great plan to look for love, which I wasn't necessarily getting or feeling inside of myself. So I was looking for other women beyond my wife to love me for who I am unconditionally. And I found some of that, but it wasn't really helpful. It was destructive. It was clingy. It was needy. It was selfish. It was, we didn't always grow together with the people I would know. And what happened in my life is that I came to a place where my relationship, my marriage fell apart. And rather than rushing into another series of relationships where I'm looking for love, I was fortunate enough to be with someone who sort of let me have some time alone, into another serious relationship with commitment. And someone recommended that I read some books by Don Miguel Ruiz. Of course, I've also read some of this stuff before, Erich Fromm and forgive the pronunciation, but Thich Nhat Hanh. I read some books about love, and I've always found that comforting and beautiful, but never urgent. And now in this situation where my life was falling apart, my marriage fell apart, my access to my child was in question. The very stability of my life was in question. And it was really, I would have easily just run into another relationship and totally live with her and so forth. But she thought it was important, I think, to give me some time. And I had spent a lot of time alone. And what I did is I laid in bed pretty depressed. And to overcome that depression, I read some of these books, and then I just stared at the ceiling and just thought and felt, really went into my feelings. And I did discover that I can love myself. And that's healing. When you know that love comes from within you, that you don't need it from another person. It's nice to have it from another person as well, but only if you already are complete within. And the thing is, we're all born complete within. We are love. Love is the energy of life. Love is energy, universal life energy. That's what we perceive as feeling love, and it flows from within when we learn to unblock it. And the way to unblock it is basically to stop beating yourself up, to stop hating yourself for mistakes in the past, to stop worrying about the future, to learn to shift away from fear and learn to trust and to place faith in the power of love, of life itself, to take care of everything, which it does. And when you do get to a place where you realize that you're already whole, you were born that way and you still are that way, you undo all that damage of ego, which is, of course, the conditioned mind that's been taught to us throughout all the lessons of the world, these lessons that you have to do something to earn love and safety and enjoyment, fulfillment. That's, of course, manipulation by the world to get us to do things we otherwise don't want to do, which we still have to do anyway, unfortunately. But we can do them as part of this game called life and not for the reason of trying to earn love. So many men, I think, go about life, having to make a lot of money, not just, to pay the basic necessities, but to actually show off a little bit, have a huge house and a fast car and dress well and be able to impress women. And then what do you earn? You earn the right to have to continue to impress that woman by making sure you deliver enough flowers to her and get everything right on the holidays and say everything right and help around the house exactly equally. And all that stuff is wonderful. And that's what happens naturally anyway if you have a loving relationship. But if you're going to go about life in a way that you think that you have to do those things to get love, what you have is a situation where you're just playing a role. There's no truth and honesty, and you have a hole inside because you don't have the ability to express your truth unconditionally, openly, without any thought. But if you come to a place first where you do know that you are complete within, that you have all the love you need from within, and that's the source of love, and it can flow from you without the need to get anything back. If you know that, then you can take some more chances. You can begin to be yourself. You can be more honest. You can say what you really want out of your life and so forth. And because you don't fear that you're going to lose a relationship. You can risk. You can take risks a little bit. And if you can meet someone who shares these views on love, who has also discovered the source of love within, who isn't dominated by ego and this drive for external fulfillment, which never, of course, works. You never do get to fulfill the inner need of love through anything external, not for any amount of time. It will, the effects will fade. If you meet someone who's also enlightened, you have the most perfect relationship. And it's so rare because even one person being enlightened and, someone who's conscious, spiritually awake is rare. Someone who's learned to transcend ego, which of course is the fundamental problem in the world, is ego. If you can find someone else who you're attracted to who's also learned to do that, you just have this wonderful situation. You don't necessarily need to get married. You don't need to make any promises. You don't need to follow any prescribed ways of being together, because you have this love within and you're allowing each other to be free. You accept each other unconditionally for life. There's no rules, no jealousy. I talk a lot about this because it's so important. You can't get to that place of no jealousy and no rules and unconditional acceptance and unconditional love unless you love yourself first. Because if you don't love yourself first, you're going to you think you have to get it from the other person. So that's kind of the whole point. So before entering any relationship, it's really important to spend time alone, even if it's in depression, even if you're staring at the walls. Rest up, sleep, read some beautiful books by some of these authors or maybe some others that you know of, and do some soul searching. Go within, go into the present moment, and realize that you're already perfect. Forgive yourself completely. Forgive other people in your life completely. And now you're free to let that love shine. Now you're ready to make someone happy. But don't go with someone who's looking for you to make them happy, because they're going to be just taking the energy for selfish reasons and manipulating you and causing problems, causing situations where you can't do what you just did, which worked so well, right? So the trick is to go into a relationship, with that freedom to love yourself, with that freedom to be who you are, and continue that and not worry about losing the relationship. Now you can have children because you can trust the person, you can trust that you're going to have access to the child and so forth. So that's what we're talking about. That's what it's all about. There's perfect love. There's, anything less than this is not love. It's just an arrangement. It's just the ego trying to meet needs through external conditions. I hope that makes sense, and I really hope, the reason I do all this writing and these podcasts, and I also started a Relationship Forward series on YouTube, which answers some questions. I wrote a book a couple years ago, and of course the I Am by Infobeing app. The idea is to shift toward perfect love, away from fear, and then prepare ourselves to be able to form relationships, both romantic relationships and all kinds of relationships with other people, based on union, based on love, based on karma. And that can only happen once you undo the damage of ego, the conditioned mind, what the world did to us all. And it takes time, or doesn't. Sometimes it happens instantly with enough suffering and the right situation. But, the whole point is that this is the path toward happiness. It works. It truly works. And if we can start a movement of people doing this, we're going to undo the problems of this world, the destruction of this world, the suffering of this world. This is the way. Learning to love ourselves as complete, whole beings without having to do anything to get it. That's what it's all about. Thank you for joining me on the Abscondo Podcast. Please feel free to get in touch. Visit abscondo.com. Definitely check out the I Am by Info Being mobile app on Google Play or the App Store. And I hope to see you there, or you can write me anytime, mark@infobeing.net. I'd love to get some feedback, and if you have any questions, I'll talk about that on one of these shows, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks again. We'll end on one of my songs called "You Are Love."
Oh, how they try to interfere. We do not answer to calls of fear, because there's something new coming through, and thoughts they finally disappear. That's when you wake up to know that you are alone. You know that you are alone. Oh, now the light is shining here. Inspired minds that just seem clear. Now there's something new inspiring you, when suffering just disappears. That's when you wake up to know that you something new inspiring you, while suffering just disappears. That's when